obsequiously following an ideology? And if you have a belief in that ideology, are you blinded by the light?
Nigel.cecil, calling things out as you like it, especially for his fair-minded friends.
Hello, Chuckabutties, welcome. Thank you for joining me, moi, Nigel.cecil, entertainment entrepreneur, and of course, Hilary always insists whenever I claim to be an entertainment entrepreneur, we put in the qualification, somewhat of a legend, in my own lunchtime. But outside now, wearing our winter gear, our winter warmers, because it is a little bit chilly round the hollyhocks. But why are we outside, you may ask yourselves? Will they ask themselves, Hilary? Well, if you are, it's because we've not really had any good news anywhere, have we? So we thought, after all the rain and that dreaded budget, it's been raining cats and dogs. This morning, the sun has come out, and there's a hint of blue in the sky. So, in showbiz particularly, let's hope there's better things to come tomorrow. And you've come up via our email address with this particular comment about equity. Equity, the trade union for professional actors, variety entertainers and other creators across the United Kingdom, obsequiously following an ideology, blinded by the light, let the sun shine on moi. Obsequiously following an ideology. Why have you come up with this phrase? And why are we presenting it equally and fairly on your behalf, trying to take both sides of the equation and enabling you to stimulate some discussion and come up with an answer? And please let us know via our usual email address. Equity, well, the membership elected the council, and the council were only elected by some 6% of the membership. Yet they've got control of the millions of pounds of equities funds. So if they're following an ideology, is it right, fair and equal that they apply that ideology to the whole of the membership, the other 94%? Now, we're not being critical, because if you elect a council, they're in control of the union. But it's the union's money. So if the group controlling the council, the majority, a bit like the House of Parliament, really. I mean, look at the massive majority Sir Keir Starmer's got. So what do they care? You can't really force a general election, can you? It's going to be interesting to see how things develop. But if you're in charge and you've got access to all that money, can you spend it however you want? Because, well, it's like an echo chamber, isn't it? If you're following an ideology, and apparently with equity, it's a progressive, radical, socialist ideology where only activists who follow that ideology are welcome, if they spend the money for that purpose, is it actually treating the members' money with respect? Equity is a trade union that takes subscriptions off members, and what? At any one time, 90% or so are out of work, looking for work. They're taking subscriptions off the unemployed. So, we've got this obsequiously following an ideology. And if you have a belief in that ideology, are you blinded by the light? Blinded by the light. So when it comes to the Cambridge Shakespeare Festival, which is what has raised this topic, equity apparently won the first round about people getting a fair day's pay for a fair day's work because they couldn't be treated as volunteers. The second round, well, it's come out against equity. How much does that cost equity in time and money? But you see, if you've got an ideology, you'll say, well, of course, it's reasonable we should check that. But if you had a collective of members who shared different views, but were all united in solidarity, hoping we could further the interests of equity members in their professional capacity, would you have come up with the same answer? Because when it comes to getting legal advice, If you're obsequiously following an ideology, do you get the legal advice from someone who's equally following that ideology? Now, the interesting thing about this Cambridge Shakespeare Festival is that they've cited a quote from Matt Hood. And you may recall, of course, Equity lost their first High Court action against Spotlight. Matt Hood's the MD. But then they've won leave to appeal to progress further. It's going to cost thousands of pounds. And Matt Hood said, Equity launched a cynical, performative and expensive legal proceedings against Spotlight as a publicity stunt. Now, I don't accept it's a publicity stunt. What we're saying that if you are following an ideology, you will say it is reasonable to do that. But will the other 94% of the Equity membership who didn't elect you, many of whom will not be following such an ideology, agree and say, well, you can do it? Or will they be thinking along similar lines to Matt Hood? And the Cambridge Shakespeare Festival have referred to that quote and said Equity is doing the same with them. So we're going to leave this one with you. Blinded by the light, the sunshine gives us hope for the future. I'm seeing red in my eyes now, Hilary. Or is it, as they say, obsequiously following an ideology and missing what a trade union should be all about? Representing all the members equally and fairly in their professional interests. You know, this phrase really has got me going. Obsequiously following an ideology. Is the Equity Council being blinded by the light of their ideology? Shakabat is, once again, as we always finish when this video is about equity, to all artists, good work. To all workers, good art. And to everyone, everywhere, solidarity, comrades, good work. And of course, we always end up by saying, when it comes to showbiz, we better keep our professional fingers crossed. Professional solidarity, comrades. Until the next time.